from PETUARIA ReVisited 2021. I'm with Andy, and you may not be able to hear me. I don't know. If it is a bit windy on mic, terribly sorry.
We've got the wind whipping in off the River Humber.
We have, which is just over there, incidentally, beyond those trees. Yeah, PETUARIA signage behind us, and in fact, if we shuffle along to our right, just over here, there we go.
It's almost as if we planned the camera route.
It really is. So this is
Camera
trench number one, or BA. I say very pointedly as the archaeologist walks by. Trench BA. And we've been having a great time filming the past couple of days, meeting people who are here, digging in a very particular way, and in a way that well, how would you describe it?
I think it's fantastic, and hopefully it's a way forward for community archaeology, because it's a mixture of experienced professional academic archaeologists and archaeologists from the commercial sector even.
Yeah.
And people from the local community of all ages and backgrounds, many of whom have never dug on an archaeological site before, and in fact didn't even think they wanted to dig on an archaeological site before.
No.
And yet they're here digging on a scheduled ancient monument with the permission of Historic England, and having a fantastic time, but also producing some great archaeology.
Yeah. Now it is the end of two very hot days.
It's been like doing archaeology on a griddle pan, basically.
It has, yeah. Cloudless, windless. I've been pouring water on my head constantly. But one thing that unfortunately we can't do is actually go into the trench behind us, because they're setting up for a photogrammetry. But the footage that we've been filming will be up and viewable in the near future. I was going to do some editing here while on site, but unfortunately, because I had a van accident, more about that in the future.
It wasn't an accident. The van had a moment on the motorway.
The van had a moment, but a small explosion, and
nobody was hurt in the filming of this small explosion.
No, but basically I lost power, so I couldn't do any editing while I'm here. But we've got lots of lovely footage, interesting stuff, and also I've been putting some time lapses up on social media, so you can check those out if you're interested. I suppose one thing I would say is that I've been really struck by how, as a dig where you have such community connections and people who are digging who wouldn't normally dig in a million years, in that sense, for the most part, or wouldn't normally think to dig. There's also been some really good teaching as well going on here, passing on things. So we were remarking yesterday on the cleaning of the surfaces, particularly down here in Trench 1. And how very experienced archaeologists were passing this information on to people who I think, was it a third day of digging, perhaps? And yet, with the right tutoring, with the right touch being demonstrated, some very subtle archaeology has been uncovered. And it's looking like a good story. It's unfolding. It's definitely going to require another year, hopefully, of digging. But in terms of the stuff that is being recovered, and the way that even things like small jet beads are being found, the quality of the archaeology has been excellent.
There's real attention to detail.
Yes.
And for example, it's not just being hand dug, but it's then being sieved, and it's then the spore that goes onto the spore heap is then metal detected, so that hopefully very, very little gets missed.
Yeah.
And as Mark said, there've been not just small jet beads, small fragments of pottery, one of which was quite diagnostic.
Yeah.
And small coins like minims from the site here is the principal focus of the site certainly up until recently has been on the period in the late 3rd century, the period of the breakaway Gallic Empire in the Emperor Clausius. That's where the peak on the coin curve is at the moment, and so it's a very interesting site from a very interesting part of the history of Roman Europe.
Yeah, and at the moment, this trench appears to be not the fort. The fort is back over there. In fact, if I flip the camera for a sec, you can see that basically we're still on a playing field. People were playing football over there until very recently this afternoon. And so we have two trenches in the far corner at the entrance of the field over there. This is where people have their breaks and hide from the sun. and trench number one is here. And it looks as though this is a courtyarded area. There's a very well-worn section in the middle, up there, a little bit further up, which is basically where lots of resurfacing has been going on, and people were clearly walking back and forth on
There
on
appears
this
to be some
surface.
sort of road or trackway coming through.
Coming
across
through,
the
yeah,
trench.
I bet. You can see a very clear band of dolomite. So if you can focus on the trench wall there, dolomites below the surface there, which is where leveling works were done to make a playing field, and everything below that more or less is medieval and then Roman. So it's definitely a good series of stratigraphy, good excavation, and I suppose what I would say is that I've definitely been surprised by elements of this dig, and we'll go into it more in the future. But I'm really happy to have come here without a doubt, definitely. Also, no watching brief this week. We were going to record the first watching brief together on camera ever,
but you'll have to settle for this live stream instead.
Exactly. Time got ahead of us, and also, time got away from us partly because of the explosion. But also partly.
Stop exaggerating. It wasn't an explosion. You said something. You said it went. So when you first told me about it, you said it went pop, and then something was hanging out the bottom of the engine.
Yes. And then I saw what happened. So yeah, there was an explosion. Okay. So anyway, but sorry. But maybe it's good we hadn't done this previously, because we'd just be like a married couple bickering over the news live face to face. Interesting to see, though.
It's good night from me. That dates me, doesn't it?
Beck says interesting to see, though, which is good. I'm glad it's been interesting to see. So we wanted to do something, and we can't promise, but we may do a watching brief over the weekend. So.
One thing I would say, though, if you're in striking distance of Brough-on-Humber, if you live in Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, South Yorkshire, there is an open day here at the site on Saturday,
yes.
And there is also a finds table in the entrance of the local Morrison's store, which is just down the road, who've been great in supporting the dig with oranges and water and
ice lollies.
Oh, precious ice lollies.
She was so lovely.
Yeah. So a hat tip to Morrison's for that support. But there's a finds table there on Saturday as well. But basically, the site's open for visitors. They really welcome visitors. If you're in striking distance of Brough-on-Humber, come and support them, because it's a fascinating site and it's a great project.
Yeah. So you're leaving in
a few minutes.
About 9 minutes. You have to be going in that direction. Yeah. I'm staying until probably midday tomorrow. Going to get some early morning footage with the drone. But it's been an interesting few days.
Great.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for turning up. I'm going to leave it there if I can figure out how to end this stream. But until next time, do take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Now comes the interesting bit where we sort of, oh no, what do we do? Save highlight. Do we press the X there? Yeah, cancel streaming. Bye guys.